Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description and in every episode description. I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 4 of FX's Kindred, entitled The Waiter from 2 Nights Ago. So, I think I've proven my point about how reckless they are with the title. I don't want to say reckless, but like how little effort they're putting into these episode titles. I'm going to stop discussing them from now on unless I see one that is truly compelling, but I guess all shows can't be like Succession with their episode titles. Succession really puts a lot of thought into them, and this show is just kind of like, yeah, fuck it, just say whatever. But anyway, the title refers to a line uttered by one of the worst characters I've seen on television this year, but we'll be talking about him a little bit later. But he says, "What's the waiter from 2 nights ago doing here?" Just a casual reference to Kevin that I guess they felt was important enough to be the episode title. But I know you could also look at the episode title as like, okay, it's about Kevin. You know, he's obviously the waiter from 2 nights ago. And we do learn some new things about Kevin that I'll discuss in this video. So I guess if you wanted to like really reach to make that episode title feel appropriate, there you go. There's your avenue, but didn't work for me. But so real quick before I get started, apologies for not getting any videos out tomorrow. I had to actually do my fucking actual job yesterday, like all day. So I didn't get to, I was able to watch this episode and that was it. And then I didn't even have time to get a video out once I got home. And I've only got time to get this one out today. So my plan to get all 8 up before the end of Friday is about to fail tragically because I'm only halfway. But I do think worst case scenario is that they will all be out on Monday, because I will watch the remaining 4 episodes over the course of the weekend. I can't guarantee I'll get videos up. I will try, no promises, but worst case scenario, I will get them up on Monday, especially since I won't have to do a White Lotus video, so I can devote all of my time to the rest of this show. So, but again, apologies. All right, so now that's out of the way, let's talk about this episode. And I gotta say, not a fan. You know, I had some issues with some of the logistical choices this episode made, and I'm going to start with the big one, which is the ending. I was listening to an interview with Tony Gilroy. He's the writer and showrunner for Andor. He wrote and directed Rogue One. Andor is one of my top shows of the year. And he said one of the hardest things about writing is getting 2 characters who you want in a scene together in the same place. Because it's like, okay, if you're thinking about Star Wars, if you have a character on this one planet, you have a character on an entirely different planet, how do you get to a place where the one character knows where the other character is? They're not, calling on cell phones. How do they know where one character is? What are the reasons, the logistical reasons, like what's going to bring them there for you to get them into those scenes together? And this episode kind of felt like the end goal was to get Aunt Denise, to a place where she has no choice but to reconcile with the fact that Dana's telling the truth about what happened to her. I saw them go into a room that has no exit. I've been standing here on the opposite side of the door the entire time. I opened the door and they're gone. She just told me she'd been disappearing and shit. I got no reason to, I have to deal with this and I have to accept this explanation now. Um, and I think since I haven't read the book, I'm not going to assume that the writers were beholden to something in the text. I know that they have the ability to wield their pens however they please, and maybe they change this around. But the problem with this is that there are not so many, but there are several eye-rolling moments that need to happen to get us to this point. And I just feel like there were a lot of different options that could have been explored to get us to this point, to that exact scene and that exact same scenario, options to get us to that point that were just better than some of the ones we saw. So, like for instance, once Dana knocks over the coffee on purpose as she runs out of the room, she's leaving the room away from Denise, and then immediately runs toward where Denise is already at, talking to the police. Like, see, I don't know the orientation of this hospital floor, but just how that was filmed, how it felt wrong. She gets out, she runs away, she sees Kevin, they start moving, Denise is there. Like, how do you run away from Denise and then run to the spot and then she's already there? It's not like she took a shit first and it's like, oh, like she got there and Denise already, like, that was weird to me. That just didn't feel right. And then they start running, and you hear Code Violet for Dana James. Nobody knows what the fuck. She ain't got a name tag on. It says, hi, my name is Dana James. No one's going to know who that is. Like, they're like, okay, so someone named Dana James. No, okay, for one, only the hospital, people who work at the hospital are even going to know what Code Violet means. I don't know what it means, but I'm assuming it means, hey, be on the lookout for Dana James. The people who are guests of the hospital aren't even going to know what that means, so they can't help you in your search. And then the people who work there don't know who Dana James is. Like, maybe she has a friend or two, but like, that's it. And I'm like, and Dana James isn't even a gender specific name. That could be a guy. So like, it's just, I don't know, man. That really didn't work out for me. And I just feel like if you want to catch somebody, or you want everybody in the hospital, regardless of anyone who can understand Code Violet, regardless of anyone who knows who Dana James is, if you just say, be on the lookout, black girl, curly hair, whatever, just describe her, now you are doing something that makes sense in this moment. And now I'm going to think, oh shit, anywhere she goes, people are going to be looking like, is that the person I just heard them describe? But like, now anywhere she goes, be like, like, be able to look up at Dana James. Like, anybody could be Dana James, even the men. Like, I just thought that was dumb, man. And it just took me out of that moment. And then, of course, the ridiculous decision to run into the closet in the first place, instead of running literally anywhere other than into a closet. And I mean, here's the thing. When I do something like this, I'll shit on this decision. Like, why the fuck would you have your characters run into a closet? That's stupid. And people will go, well, maybe they didn't know it was a closet. They ran in, and then they found out there wasn't a window. I mean, like if we have to fashion up these excuses in our head to justify questionable decisions by the characters, to me, they still fucked up. Like, even if I could come up with a viable explanation, I shouldn't have to like fabricate one. Like, what they do should make sense. And like, I just don't see why you run away from these police. I don't know if they're police officers or security, because they better have been security, because how the fuck would police have gotten there that fast? Never mind that, unless Denise was a true bitch and called them like way ahead of time. But like, you could fashion up these reasons, but like, they could have just run out of the hospital, run toward a stairwell, and you can go to a different floor. Maybe you can get an elevator there. Like, they immediately ran into a closet, and I'm just like once the episode, well, I thought it was stupid in that moment. I was like pretty pissed, and then once we see what's gonna come of this, I'm like, okay, so all this was to put Denise into this position where she understands and believes what's happening. But like, you couldn't find a destination. I mean, you couldn't find a path to get here that took plausible streets. like what is with all these decisions? At the end of the day, what it really boils down to is we had characters making decisions and things happening that were meant to put us at this end goal, but with little attention or care given to the path on how we get there. So like, I don't know, that just really frustrated me how we ended this episode. But I had some other issues as well, but we'll save those for the thoughts section. So what did we learn? Or what did we learn section this week? I keep saying this week. I'm so used to doing shows week to week. And I'm like, man, I'm like banging out these Kindred videos. Kindred. It's not like I'm saying Kendrick. I won't say banging out Kendrick on anyone. I don't need anybody to pull out that clip. Like, here's Mike saying he was banging out Kendrick. I ain't say that. Kindred. Yeah, so I keep saying last week, but I mean last video. I said at the end of the last video, I was curious to what 2016 was going to be like when Kevin and Dana returned. And we find out right away. We see the neighbors, not the neighbors, the woman who I caught, her name is Hermione. And why would you name someone that terrible off of like the best Harry Potter character? But anyway, we see Hermione. Well, we see Hermione seeing Kevin kind of like pulling her by the arm, and she turns around to tell her husband, I think they said his name's Carlo, and then they're gone. So she doesn't know what happened. And just in the walk from their house to Dana's, they've already returned. So like they were gone for 3 days in 1815, but on the 2016 side, they were gone for like 15 seconds, like really short period of time. And then she comes in and she's like, oh, they're having sex. We'll talk about that later. Another thing that I'm wondering in this What Did We Learn section, I'm wondering if Kevin's past is going to come into play and be interesting, or if it was like a not quite fully fleshed out attempt at making him more three-dimensional that they're not really going to revisit. Because I guess we're to understand, this is what we learned. This sounded like it was going to be in the question section, but it's in the What Did We Learn section. We learned that Kevin has some sort of a drinking problem in the past, and that's why his overly intrusive and nosy sister was so concerned about him. So I'm just wondering if Kevin's drinking is going to be something that's going to become relevant later. We also learned that, well, I can't say learned that, but he clearly took offense to Dana suggesting he was a squatter. So he might have some sort of hang-ups about not just his drinking, but maybe he used to be homeless or something like that. So if she says, oh, are you a squatter? He's going to take offense to that. Or maybe he's, falling on really hard times financially, and he doesn't like the perception of like being broke or something like that. But whatever the case may be, I'm hoping that these are things that are going to be fleshed out more, that are going to make Kevin actually more three-dimensional, or if it's just like, hey, throw these in so that they know he has an alcohol problem, and then we're just going to keep on being, that's it. We're just going to have Kevin continue to interact within this storyline, but you're not going to learn much more about him. And I hope it's the former and not the latter. We also learned that Dana's grandmother disappeared as well. So very clearly genetic. She probably disappeared at, 26? So yeah, still a lot more to learn. So a couple questions after this episode. Why does Dana always end up at the same point in the house when she returns? That's really interesting, and I can't even guess an explanation for that, because you would think your default is like, it must be the house. But we've established it can't be the house because the mom and the grandmother never lived there. So if it's not the house, what is it about that location? Is it like that location on Earth? Like that spot that matters, and there just so happens to be a house there? But I don't know. Is it that she was standing in that spot at the moment she turned 26? I don't know, but I hope that there's an interesting explanation for that. I expect there to be. And how are we meant to look at Kevin now? I want to know how you guys feel about him, because he said he didn't want to go back in time with her anymore. And he gave like all these really good justifiable reasons that are like sound reasons. But at the end of the day, we really know it's just because he's scared. So like, do you guys feel it? He got away, but like, you look at Kevin like, Kevin, you a bitch. Like, are you like, okay, this makes sense. Are you cool with it? Because I mean, I feel like if you're looking at Kevin like he's a bitch, I would pose to you how willing you'd be to willingly go back to slavery times. But the only thing I'm like, he's a white man though, so like I feel like what you scared of? Like, you just go ahead. I feel like you improve in status if you go back. like he's a fucking waiter who lives in his sister's pool house right now. He can go back to 1815 to be the fucking president or some shit. He needs to not be scared. He need to go back there, man. He's got all the knowledge of everything, man. Shit, he's got. If you a white man, a straight white man, and you had the option to go back to slavery times, I don't know what you'd be scared of. This shit sounds like a slam dunk for you. So closing out with thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts though, but I gotta move pretty quickly. Obviously, that did not look like two people fucking. I don't know what I don't know what that was. I don't know why she thought that was that. I watched it like 4 times. I'm like, why does she? Because I thought like she thinks they're fucking. Like they must be fucking. And I'm like, doesn't look like it. Anyway, speaking of which, when they returned, their clothes were gone. And I feel like I'm to assume the explanation is that their 19th century clothes can't travel through time into the 21st century. But then I'm left to wonder how the fuck his iPhone can travel from the 21st century back to the 19th. And that makes way less sense than the clothes not being able to come forward, because clothes will exist for all of eternity going forward. The worst thing that's going to happen is if you were in the past and you teleport to the future, people will be like, why do your clothes look weird? Not what is that? But a iPhone going back in time is way stranger, because it's not going to be why does your iPhone look like that? It's going to be, what the fuck is that? So like that. And then, like, if you didn't catch it right away, Dana even kind of points it out. Like, where are our clothes? I'm like, so if you missed that, I'm not saying, well, it might be a mistake. It might not be. It feels like one now. But even if it's not a mistake, I mean, if it is a mistake, if you might have missed it, they had Dana help you find it. My suggestion about instant return via poison tea was immediately poo-pooed by whatever her name is, Dana. Dana. So another thing I didn't like, when Kevin and Dana go to Kevin's sister's crib, they pull up and Kevin says, what did he say? He said, all right, be back in 2 seconds, gonna grab some clothes. She goes, okay, sounds good. And then he immediately gets out of the car. I'm like, all right, be back in 2 seconds, I'm gonna grab some clothes. Like, that means stay in the car, I'll be right back. And like, if you wanted me to understand that Dana's like, yeah, I'm not staying in the car. Like, I heard what you said, but no, fuck that. I'm not sitting in the car by myself. So I can just vanish, whatever. Like, okay, I get that, but then I need to see that, like, that reaction. Like, I need to see maybe Dana going, okay, sounds good, and getting out of the car, or going, okay, sounds good, and then she gets out of the car, and Kevin's like, what the fuck? Something to let me know that it is understood that he said for you to stay in the car, and you saying fuck that. I needed something like that, because that scene felt weird. Like, that, I'm sitting there like, okay, he just said to stay in the car. You said okay and then got out the car. Like, that, I don't know. I don't like things that take me out of it, or now I'm trying to figure out, like, hey, wait, what just happened here? I thought he told her to stay in the car. She got out. She said okay and then got out the car, and he didn't react in any kind of way. He didn't go like, hey, I said to stay in the car. Like, he didn't do anything. He just kept going as if he expected her to get out of the car. But all right, be back in 2 seconds. Like, you can't be back if the person is coming with you. Like, I hate, like, unforced errors. And this episode had a lot of unforced errors. But what was not an unforced error is how much I approve of every aspect of the interaction between Kevin and Carlo and Hermione. I hate those characters. And more on that in a moment. When Penny impersonated Kevin, did you guys catch that? He says something like, is that a problem? She goes, no, it's not a problem. And then, like, she, like, imitates him. And I don't know what they were going for there. I feel like maybe they were going for maybe humor. And I found humor in it, but it's because I'm kind of a dick. But, like, that was kind of, like, that felt mean to me. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just getting really, really empathetic in my old age. But, like, I don't know. I didn't find that funny. I found it funny from the perspective of, like, that was a funny imitation of him. But I'm also kind of like, okay, this scene is being played seriously. Like, you're playing, I'm concerned for my brother because I know he has demons and he's acting really scary right now. Let me roast his voice briefly. Like, what the fuck? Like, he doesn't even have any control over that. Like, if he has a fucked up haircut, fine. But, like, yeah, he has a goofy fucking voice. I don't know. It just felt really mean to me. I thought it was really smart to prepare supplies for her next trip back. You know, getting all the Pedialyte and getting, because people be dying of dysentery, that was funny, getting Pedialyte and gauze and all. I thought that was really smart. And I thought it was really smart for him to give her a gun. But hey, nobody wants to listen to me and Kevin. I have two things left. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do first, because I wrote lastly by one of them, and I'm like, but do I actually want to do that one last, or do I want to do that one now? I'll do that one now. So I want to talk about this Karen-ass neighbor, Hermione, and Dana's bitch-ass Uncle Alan. I hate this motherfucker. I hate Alan. Both of them, to me, are just utterly ridiculous. And to the point where if you put in your script, we want this character to be a Karen-ass character. Obviously, that's not something that Octavia Butler was thinking in 1979, and I don't know, and I would be curious to know. I told you guys I don't give a fuck about the book. I'm here to talk about the show, but I would be curious as to how this Hermione character is portrayed in the book, if she's even in it, because if you have in your script, hey, we want this character to be very much like a Karen-type character, like they took that and said, we're going to give you your Karen character, but we're going to turn that Karen dial up to 17, and it only goes from 1 to 10, baby. So you're going to get 17-ass Karen. Like, she's a fucking caricature of a Karen. And a Karen is already a caricature of just a fucking, like, nosy-ass woman. Like, the fact that they took a character who's a type of person who's already obnoxious to the maximum and then turn that up even more, it feels like they're doing way too much. And then you got Uncle Alan, and I feel like they put like Uncle Alan, a strong, stern black man, in the script, and this motherfucker said, I'm gonna enter every scene with a permanent fucking scowl and treat everybody like shit for no reason. He always enters the room on complete fucking 10, like he's the guy that walk into a room and be like, why the fuck you motherfuckers in here? Like, why are you so angry all the time? Again, he is he's a caricature of a black man, and that fucking pisses me off, man. I hate that shit, man. Just like he does not have to be, like, he's like what racist white people think all black people are. like they just said, like, hey, just make scary black man or something like that, and he just like ran with it. Like, I'm just gonna be like, when Kevin shows up at the hospital and he's like, hey, I have this thing I want to give to Dana, and he slams him up against the car. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, he didn't do anything. You are a police officer at a hospital. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm like, I hate Alan, man. I fucking hate this character, dude. Oh, sorry, I hate this motherfucker. All right, so, actually, lastly, when Alan asked Dana how she got the black eye, and she says, I fell. And he's like, I'm not stupid. That's what I want to say every time a writer puts that stupid fucking explanation for a black eye into a script. You didn't see the 18,000 other stupid motherfuckers who put that terrible excuse into a movie, and you just, like, people aren't even trying. Why is there no, like, if you have a black eye, you either got punched in the eye or you fell. Why can no writer come up with a different lie for a black eye other than I fell? Which would never result in a black eye unless there's a doorknob laying on the floor that fits right into that little spot in your eye. Like, that's the way you get a black eye, by falling, and that would never happen. It would happen to me, but it would never happen to anyone else. Why do they keep writing that stupid fucking explanation for a black eye? Like, I just, like, even if the character calls it out as I'm not, like, even if he does that, I'm still like, why did you write that? Did you even try to come up with a plausible lie for a black guy? You didn't give a fuck. You like, I'm gonna write the same line, the same explanation that's been given for a black eye since the very first time someone had a black eye in a movie or a television show. They said, I fell down in the shower, and every writer since then has had no fucking desire to come up with any other explanation than that sorry fucking one. And man, I'm turned up because, like, these last two things, man, like, oh, I hate this Alan character. I hate that fucking lazy ass explanation. So like I said, that is why this episode did not work for me, because there were too many times where I'm turned up at the TV like, what the fuck is that? You can do better. And yeah, this episode didn't work for me. But I'm going to, and also I want to point out too, this episode takes place almost entirely in 2016 and is easily the worst episode of the 4 so far. So I'm glad they left. Let's go back to 1815 for the next one, because if this is if it's like they got a totally different writing crew for 2016. If this is what I got to deal with in 2016, take me the fuck back to 1815. I'd rather be around the slaves and on the plantation than have to deal with caricature ass Uncle Alan and stupid fucking explanations for black eyes like I fell. So I will see you guys. I hope it's prior to Monday. But at least if it's on Monday, I do think I can get out all 4 of these remaining videos on Monday for you guys. So at the very latest, I will see you Monday. And until then, peace.